So two things. The content of Munawar Farooqi's jokes and the statements made by Akbaruddin Owaisi with respect to Sita Mata are the same. The only difference is one claims to be a politician, the other claims to be a... So I think Raja Singh should give up politics and become a stand-up comedian and repeat everything that he said, but as a of a comedian. That's point number one. Point number two, if the liberals and the so-called, let's say, bleeding hearts of this country believe that the reaction of the jihadis and the Islamists in response to these comments and allegedly defamatory statements or blasphemous statements are right, I hope the Hindus learn from all of these elements and repeat the very same behavior so that everybody gets a taste of this particular medicine. Because at this point, neither the constitution, nor the state machinery, nor the police machinery, or the judiciary seems to be working as far as putting these elements in their place is concerned. So I think and I say this with a lot of responsibility, because now from the north, the matter has reached the south. And I'm not at all surprised that Hyderabad has joined this particular gang. It was only a matter of time. In fact, it's a matter of surprise that thus far Hyderabad has not joined this particular group. It has finally. And therefore, according to me, the circle is complete. And the fact that this particular group is being led by the party of the Owaisis is not at all to be surprised about. Whether it's the Congressy or the, let's say, AIMM corporators, on this particular issue, this particular behavior will not change regardless of the political affiliations concerned, because it is not a question of political affiliations, it's a question of a particular religious affiliation. So we should not be surprised as to whether someone's a follower of Nehru or a follower of Sultan Salahuddin Owaisi. My only submission is this. At this point, I think we should stop beating the argument of the Constitution. It's a foregone conclusion at this point that the Constitution does not matter to this particular group and this particular mindset. Now, therefore, the rest of the country has to decide what are the response mechanisms that will effectively put this arrogance to bed. That is the only way to address this problem now. I am not spelling out any particular solutions. I am simply saying everybody has a right to think about solutions at this point. TRS government is held hostage by the Owaisis. There is no way they will do this.
They will not.
And by inviting...
That's the practical... That's the realist... That's the realist in Sai Deepak speaking.
Do this, and they've established the fact, care for Hindu sentiments when they invite the Munawar Farooqi being a minister and knowing fully well the controversial track record he has. Are you telling me that KTR did not have an idea as to what this was going to invite? So although it is possible to blame KTR for what he has done, and rightly so, why should Raja Singh not stand up for the rights of his community, notwithstanding the fact that he's a legislator, when he clearly says you're calling a controversial fellow? Then who's to be held responsible for the altered law and order situation? The minister or a legislator who's not in power?
For a moment.
The law of the land will prevail in every other place except the old city from the TRS government. And the only law that will prevail in the old city is the law of the Sharia. That is how Hyderabad has always worked. And especially in the TRS government, that's exactly how it works. What agenda? There are people on the streets putting a bounty on a man's head, and I'm the person who's actually driving an agenda. Have some shame. You're holding a constitutional position. You're responsible.
Yes. Good evening, Rahul, and good evening to all my wonderful panelists. It's been a wonderful discussion without any interruption, and I hope I'll be given my couple of minutes of uninterrupted time. You know, Rahul, if Manish Sisodia ji deserves the Bharat Ratna for his education model, then I'm afraid Hafiz Saeed deserves the Gandhi Prize for promoting peace and non-violence. The Taliban deserves the UNESCO Prize for women empowerment. And Neera Radia deserves the Ramnath Goenka Award for promoting honest journalism. You know, the point is, the issue, as Shahzad has already pointed out, is the liquor excise policy. Now, AAP has very nicely and very connivingly, I must congratulate them, over the past 2 days have completely shifted the goalpost. Goalpost in a field mein shift kar diya. They are trumpeting this so that Sisodia can play the victim card about his education model. And one previous panelist also talked about this. Now, unless you debate that, you are never going to dent this so-called credibility of Mrs. Sisodia, who they say now deserves the Bharat Ratna. So please allow me a couple of minutes to do this. You see, this so-called education model that is being trumpeted by AAP through massive ad spend that, by the way, has increased by 4,273% over the last 10 years. Last year, for example, Delhi government spent 488 crores just on ads. So as for this education model, 4 years into the AAP government, of the sanctioned strength of 66,736 teachers in Delhi government schools, only 21,926 were filled by regular teachers. As of March 2022, 52% of trained graduate teaching positions in Delhi government schools are lying vacant. Out of 1027 Delhi government schools, 824 are functioning without a principal. AAP promised 20 new colleges, opened only one, Delhi Pharmaceutical Sciences and Research University. Meanwhile, teachers of 12 colleges run by the Delhi government have not been paid their salaries for months. Even the Delhi High Court, through Justice Prasad, slammed the Delhi government recently on this. AAP promised 500 schools in 2015. According to an RTI of 26th March 2019, 42 new schools were opened in 5 years, but the Congress says these were sanctioned and started under them. Tehseen will certify for that. In December 2021, Congress claimed, and I quote, "No new government school has been opened by AAP against the promise of 500 schools," unquote. In any case, this is a far cry from the promise of 500. Instead, AAP has resorted to building new classrooms that many allege are being constructed at a higher cost than is merited. Kejri himself claimed, quote, "We have opened 20,000 new classrooms, which are equivalent to opening 500 new schools," unquote. Thing is, as many experts in the field of education say, you can't just increase the number of classrooms and therefore number of students while keeping the school facilities like library, playground, swimming pool the same, especially when you have a dearth of teachers. According to the UDISE Plus 2019-20 report, Delhi has one of the worst pupil-teacher ratios at the primary level, 33:1. Only Bihar is worse, 55:1. It also has one of the worst dropout rates amongst the states and union territories, as high as 20%. Congress-ruled Punjab, as Tehseen will testify, had a dropout rate of only 1.5%. Finally, there is a 12% decline in students who passed their 10th compared to last year. So just 10 seconds, Rahul. Given all this, I firmly believe Mrs. Sodhia should be given the Bharat Ratna so that people can say कि भाई ये सब देख लो education model को, इसको भारत रत्न मिला है, तो Nobel Peace Prize किसको मिलेगा? Now, Rahul, quick 2 points. Number one, I would have been pleased had the New York Times mentioned even a single fact that I have mentioned 12 out here, even one, but they haven't. Now, I'm not saying that was paid for, but at least for the sake of balanced journalism, you need to tell at least one of these 12 facts. These are really damning facts. And by the way, all these are taken from, the newspapers that otherwise AAP would vouch for. Times of India, Economic Times, Mirror Now, The Hindu, Tribune. Yes. No, on my good friend Ashutosh, honestly, मेरी wife भी मेरा इतना नाम नहीं लेती जितना आशुतोष लेता है. मुझे तो डर है कहीं ये कयामत से कयामत तक की तरह मुझे भगा के ना ले जाए यार आशुतोष. Please. He is deliberately. Now wait.
Okay. Let's
what happened here.
Let's bring it back. Let's bring it back.
Had to stab himself. Don't do that, Dr. Ranganathan.
Okay, please. Dr. Ranganathan. Yes, let's go back to this point. Yeah.
अकेले हैं तो क्या गम है? No, Rahul, he is quite deliberately muddying the water. I knew he would do this. I have on record said the following, and I repeat it. I don't know if Ashutosh is, able to speak properly, but I am sure he's able to listen properly. The Delhi Chief Secretary's report entails prima facie violations of the GNC-TD Act 91, Transaction of Business Rules 93, Delhi Excise Act 2009, Delhi Excise Rule 2010. Worse, there was financial quid pro quo at the top official level wherein Manish Sodhia took major decisions in violation of statutory provision. There was also, I am quoting from the report, deliberate and gross procedural lapses to provide post-tender undue benefits of liquor licenses. Excise Department gave waiver of 144.36 crores. क्या बात कर रहे हो आशुतोष? आप सुनने नहीं जानते तो मेरी गलती नहीं है और मैं आपके साथ नहीं भागूंगा शहजाद को ले लो